This episode is sponsored by Daybook, a guided journal that helps you navigate the ups and downs of change while creating a life you love. For more information on the classic, recovery, or teen daybook, go to livedaybyday.com. The key to our success lies within. We need to be the managers of our own mental and physical wellness, and from there, everything else flows. Courage, curiosity, and our belief in possibility suddenly comes to the surface, and we just take off. So I guess I'm saying it's not just about spas and bubble baths. Now, there's a tendency for us to go for the quick fixes when it comes to feeling better, but we need to take a more proactive approach. Welcome to Journeys Through Change, a podcast that inspires women to let go of the fear and say yes to possibility. I'm your host, Noelle Van, an author, creator, and empowerment coach who spent years in corporate America helping innovators and leaders ride the waves of change with ease and grace. I now work with women to step into change and unleash the power they have to create a life they love. Whether you're contemplating a change in your career, relationship, health, lifestyle, or anything in between, nothing's off the table. I'll be offering up simple insights to help you manage the ups and downs of change and sharing interviews with successful women who took a leap of faith to create the life they knew they were meant to live, sharing their wisdom, advice, and all the juicy lessons they learned along the way. So get cozy in your favorite comfy chair and let's get started. As some of you know, in our 6-part Change Maker series, we've been reviewing the 6 pillars to building a foundation for change of any kind in your life. When I say foundation, I mean how do you internally prepare yourself to be ready for change? Today, we're talking about the 5th pillar, and that is self-care. Now, before we start, I will warn you, I have a bit of a different take on self-care. Yes, there is the traditional way of taking care of ourselves, but for me, self-care is all about being aware of patterns that come up and adjusting our daily routine to support our mental health and well-being. I break it down like this. First, we start with foundation, feeling your best every day. This is what fuels everything else in your life. Now, the system I created in the Daybook is rooted in what I call self-managed daily wellness. It's about getting out of reactive mode and getting into the driver's seat when it comes to feeling good every day. As you start to move into the practice of journaling, you'll begin to see the patterns that are either depleting or boosting your energy. And this is how you can proactively adjust your thoughts, behaviors, and daily rituals to support optimal wellness. Now, once you create a formula to feel your best, then there's nothing stopping you. You soon have the energy to start looking at your life through a different lens and creating even more for yourself. I see it like this. If I can take control of how I'm feeling, because a lot of us don't really believe that we can do that, right? We typically blame a bad day on what happened to us versus what did I create or attract into my life that caused that? Now, this is something I talk a lot about because in the midst of all the stress, anxiety, and depression that's become so prevalent for so many of us over the past few years, the key to our success lies within. We need to be the managers of our own mental and physical wellness, and from there, everything else flows. Courage, curiosity, and our belief in possibility suddenly comes to the surface, and we just take off. So I guess I'm saying it's not just about spas and bubble baths. Now, there's a tendency for us to go for the quick fixes when it comes to feeling better, but we need to take a more proactive approach. So how do we do this? So I see self-managed wellness as having 3 components. The first is awareness, the second is energy, and the third is purposeful action. For awareness, it's recognizing what's happening in your life. Taking ownership of your health and being willing to self-reflect. Journaling is a perfect way to do this. To look at what you spend your time thinking about. This is where you write it down. And who you're surrounding yourself with. What are you doing on a daily basis to boost your mood and energy? These are all about taking those moments to reflect and recognize what's contributing to how you feel physically and mentally every day. Always remember, this understanding is not just helpful to know, it has a huge impact on how you ultimately view your life. After all, we are a reflection of who and what we surround ourselves with. Second is energy. Creating and sustaining emotional balance and energy are the key to your success, period, full stop. Making those adjustments to your thoughts, behaviors, and activities that are not serving you is critical to your well-being. In fact, you must clear out old energy to be able to bring in the new. This means letting old patterns die and ushering in a new way of viewing yourself and what you want to create in your life. And no one can do this when you're feeling exhausted or resigned to something you feel you have no control over. Recognizing that you have control over everything in your life is the real game changer. And once you internalize this, you'll soon realize that it's now your time to show up and make it happen. Adjust your thinking, do the work, and your energy levels will take off. Surround yourself with positive people and see how that feeling of tiredness and depression or anxiety begin to lift. It's all about the little things that add up to a huge difference in how you show up for yourself and others. Now, the last is purposeful action. Adjusting your thoughts to create an environment that will set you up for success. Only surrounding yourself with those who contribute to your growth, not those who are driven by their own agenda. Make that a non-negotiable. Your mental health is way too important to leave in the hands of those who are not operating at high energy levels themselves. The point being, when you make up your mind to take daily action to create your environment with success in mind, you simply can't lose. Now, I'll share an example of this. I recently came to the decision that I needed to move from the home I've been in over the past year. Now, mind you, I am renting for the first time in many years, and as many of you know, I moved back from Austin a year ago, and a set of events sort of forced this decision. That will ultimately be for the better, but it was one that I was not expecting at all. You see, I'm a nester, and it is really, really important for me to keep my home base stable. So this curveball really threw me. Now, mind you, I've been through several cross-country moves in my life, and those are like crazy stressful. So comparatively, this is small potatoes. But it's still a life change that requires a whole bunch of logistics and searching skills and patience to find a new spot that feels safe, secure, and settled. All of this while keeping my momentum going in my business. And it's just a lot to juggle. Now, I think I'm pretty good under pressure, but over the years, I am well aware of what happens to me when I'm feeling unsettled. I have a really hard time focusing and my anxiety levels increase. You know, the typical reaction we often get when we're in stress overload. But this time it felt different. I told myself when the reality hit that I was going to let the universe have my back on this one. Literally, I made the decision in the moment to exchange stress and anxiety for my belief that everything will be just fine. I just committed to it. With this decision comes other choices. First, surrounding myself with encouragement and support. That's from myself and others. The second is catching myself in my thoughts if they start to go south and redirecting them. The third is finding humor in all that I can, whenever possible. And believe me, if you look, you will find it. And then lastly, just amping up my daily movement. Because I know for myself, especially, fresh air is the key to my success when it comes to staying sane in the midst of chaos. Now, my point in all of this is that it's all a choice. And the more we see that we're driving the bus in our lives, the more we step up and take control when we need to create, and that's the operative word, a positive outcome in our lives, despite our unawareness of how it's going to work out in the end. By the way, recognizing your own limitations is another form of self-care. So I've actually added that to my list, making sure I recognize when I've hit a wall or I'm feeling overwhelmed or in need of a nap, I keep my energy levels in check and pause whenever I need to. All to keep a balance that is so necessary when feeling off kilter. These are some of the simplest things you can do, but obviously we know can often feel so difficult. All because we are the creators of our lives and the gatekeepers of the energy we take in. So why does this all matter? Because so many of us are still stuck in thinking that life is happening to us. And it's such a limiting belief. Until we fully internalize how much power we own, we will continue to repeat the same patterns that are keeping our energy low. Always remember the power we have over how we feel each and every day and what we want to create in our lives will remain dormant and keep us stuck in a life of low energy and limitation until we finally realize that it's within us and we have it to tap into at any time. So take what I've shared and try a little experiment. Decide how you want to feel today and make it happen. Adjust your thoughts and behavior to support nothing but that goal and watch what happens. You will soon start to realize how truly powerful you are. That's it for now. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Journeys Through Change podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or really wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us and leave a review if you've enjoyed this episode. And share it with a friend or on social media to spread the good word, so more women like you can find us and join in on the fun. For more information on the podcast or Day by Daybook, go to livedaybyday.com.